Every year, when I hear the story of the nativity story told, all the way from the Annunciation when Mary is told that she will bear a child, actually before that, when Zechariah, the first Annunciation, when Zechariah is told that his wife Elizabeth will bear a child, I kind of get caught up in the story and I think about which character really is speaking to me this year. Many years, it's Mary. There's so much to talk about there. Elizabeth, I promise at some point I'm going to preach about why Elizabeth is so great and so wonderful. She's my favorite of the saints. Sometimes I think about Joseph, whose story we really just have to kind of speculate on our own if we're really listening to either Matthew or Luke. Nobody says much about Joseph. But this year I've thought a lot about the shepherds. And I think maybe it's because of all the things that have been going on in our country, in our neighborhood, in our city this past year, but it's just those shepherds, I keep wondering about them, who are outside of the city and on the margins, literally on the margins, outside from where the action is happening. And I keep thinking about how the angels came and talked to them. So I have this book that I got this past year. It's a children's Bible. It's called the Book of Belonging. And I went to this book to read the Christmas story, and what I found in here was a telling of the Christmas story that I think is particularly wonderful. And given that I think of all the Christmas celebrations we've been having, Christmas morning is the morning that invites all of us to be like children, most of all of them. We're supposed to be like children on Christmas morning. I'd like to read you this story. The story is The Kids Who Heard the Good News. Snores and snuffles filled the cool night air as a flock of sheep snuggled in the grass. In the distance, the city glowed and grumbled. Across the field from the sheep, the shepherds chatted around their campfire. Shepherding was a job for the young, and most of them were the babies of their families. Gathered there, they looked like their own kind of flock, some tall and lean, some short and round, each one of them strong in the legs and quick with a sling. "Phew, you stink," one shepherd said to her friend. "We're shepherds," he responded. "Stinking is the best part of the job." And they all giggled. Shepherding was dirty, smelly work, and most of the important people in Bethlehem wanted nothing to do with this flock of kids. And that's why they were all there, sleeping in the fields outside town, with the grass as their mattress and the stars for a blanket. Yawning and cozy, the shepherds began to settle in for the night, but a sudden flash of light startled them all. Like a star visiting Earth, someone appeared next to the campfire, glowing brighter and warmer than its flames. The shepherds screamed and fell to the ground as the sheep just looked on. This was not like any person they had ever seen before. And then someone shimmered and shone with a voice like a warm wind as it ruffled the grass around them. "Don't be afraid. I have good news to share that will fill everyone's heart with delight. Tonight, in your little town, a baby has been born. He's the one you've been waiting for, the Messiah." The shepherd girls and boys picked up from their hiding places to peer at the messenger. "It must be an angel," whispered one. Scooch, nudge, shuffle. Slowly, they stood and inched closer, drawing to the dazzling warmth. The angel smiled and continued to speak in that voice that filled the fields. "This will be the sign for you. You'll find this special baby all wrapped up and sleeping in a feeding trough." And the shepherds almost giggled at the thought. If this baby is so special, why would they put him in the place where animals would snort and drool and gobble their food? But the almost giggles faded away into wonder as the sky above burst into riotous color and harmony. Like 1,000 suns rising, gold, lavender, orange, pink, crimson, angels crowded to the horizon. Hundreds, thousands, millions, gazillions, all singing with gleeful celebration, Praise, 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 heaven meets earth. May our celebration and delight rise above the stars, and may God's peace be with the people. Oh, what a celebration it was. It would have squeezed and stretched your heart if you'd been there. Like the most beautiful sight you'd ever seen and the most wonderful song you'd ever heard, all at the same time. The sheep, the angels, and the shepherds danced and cried and stared and sang, and when the final note faded away on the last ribbon of light, the shepherds all spoke at once. Is that real? Is it a dream? The Messiah is here? Why did they tell us? Nobody ever tells us anything. And they cried because their eyes had seen something of heaven. And they grinned with that shy, special mix of disbelief and pride, and feeling important for once in their little lives, they chased one another, tumble-bumble, back toward town to see for themselves what God had announced. Imagine them, a group of stinky kids, running wild through the streets and peeking in windows and knocking on doors, being shooed and shouted at until, look, over here! Wait for me. They found him. His parents' eyes shimmered and danced as the kids clamored to tell their story. Mary and Joseph had marvelous angel stories of their own to share. There were many hugs and happy tears, and then a deep, warm, holy silence as they all stared into the feeding trough. Because there lay Jesus, the rescuer the angels had sang about. Did the shepherds know the whole story of who they were looking at? Do we ever really know the whole story of who we're looking at? Maybe they knew, maybe they didn't. Maybe, like us, they had peeks and nudges of God's Spirit and God's plan as they ran back into the streets and shouting the good news and singing everything in their happy hearts. But God knew. God had always known. From the very beginning, I belong with you, and you belong with me. You are my beloved. In a garden, in a family, in a tabernacle, in a kingdom, and now in a person, heaven and earth, bound up in a baby, the hope of the whole